Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, that went down well. Future Shock, you there, bro?
Sorry, I was on mute.
All right, yeah. There's always one, man. There's always
rookie
one.
problem. Schoolboy error.
Yeah, man. You should have. I've just before we went. Before the end of the intro, I remembered unmute. Anyway, fair enough.
In my defense, I was actually sorting my washing out as well, so I was rushing to get back to the computer. But yeah, trying to do.
Listen, you're a man. You ought not to be fucking around trying to multitask. It always ends badly for us.
The modern man can multitask.
Oh God, that sounds a bit metrosexual, bro. Are you sure you want to be saying things like that? Modern man.
Very tongue in cheek. But yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. So, yeah, man. How's your week been going? I've been in a bit of recovery mode, as you know, starting today. So yeah.
It's been. I mean, I've had for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So my girlfriend's gone to a country where she comes from, and she's gone there for a bit to see her folks. In the meantime, it's been a good opportunity for me to quit alcohol, actually. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Is it Wednesday today?
Yeah.
Including today, it's 5 days. I know that doesn't seem like a lot to, really, but it's small steps on what's going to be a very short road of sobriety. Obviously, I'm not one of these people who thinks I have a drink problem, right? I'm not one of these people who kind of get stressed about it or it becomes a problem for me. But I don't think it's a problem. It's just I want to be healthy, and I don't want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you've described your sort of patterns of like when you sort of like have a few drinks a day for a few days or whatever, and it's kind of, that's not, massively problematic. Like, it shouldn't be massively problematic anyway. It's when you really start to move up the levels of like it, having like super large amounts over a week or weeks. I mean, a lot can happen in even just a week. It's amazing how you can kind of like a load of little things can build up in a week if you don't just sort of like take care of your activities of daily living sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, for me, obviously it was my birthday on Monday. There's been all the Arsenal stuff going on. The parade, I mean, I forgot to mention to you backstage, the parade was absolute madness. I've never seen it.
Yeah. Did you go?
Yeah. I've never seen North London like it.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I tell you, because you'll be familiar with, obviously, you've taken the tube before, let's say. So I've never seen anything like it on the tube. You got to Finsbury Park Tube, and obviously when there's rush hour and stuff, there's loads of people. I get that. But this was a different kind of thing. We all got off the tube, and then there was no movement. Like usually in rush hour, people are shuffling along. Yes, there might be a lot of people pushing past, or it's fairly crowded or whatever. But this was different. It wasn't moving, and everyone was pushed up against each other almost. And that must have been tense for claustrophobics, and it was reasonably tense for most.
But then again, I mean, if you're a football fan going to the games anyway, so claustrophobia is part of the experience, isn't it, really?
No, I mean, sure, but it was just, I've never seen it in the tube like that, and then it wasn't moving. Usually it would move. And
so you're bonging up the pipes with your Arsenal bodies, yeah?
You couldn't.
What about the civilians, with the people caught in the crossfire,
Yeah, some. You could definitely tell who they were. And it's like, but they weren't moving us at all. And that's what I was sort of trying to say. It's like, and then they then shuffled us eventually to the spiral staircase in Finsbury Park. Yeah. And then as if all this wasn't enough, and I've never heard this a bit before on the tube either. I don't know if you have. But an alarm started going off. Please evacuate the tube. there has been an emergency. Please evacuate the
And,
station.
it wouldn't surprise me if they're just trying to create a fucking Hillsborough disaster, because they're fucking lunatics, the people in charge. Freemasons. You wouldn't be surprised if, let's fucking panic everyone now. It's packed tight. Let's get some bodies on the tracks. I mean, I'm not having a go at London transport, but there's fucking maniacs everywhere. And it just takes one Freemason in a control room to say something fucking insane. I mean, the thing about the Hillsborough disaster, it was Freemasons, and it was said that they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. It was like they had no right having that position. I can't remember. Duckworth was the guy. I can't remember his first name. He was in charge of the police control headquarters, or whatever. And it was panic. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they'd been put in that position because they were Freemasons. They'd been like
David Dugfield,
right? He'd been given the leg up. Now, I don't know how conspiratorial you might be, whether you think.
Well, they can set up the conditions. I mean, we've talked about it before. They don't even need to do anything so specific. They can, obviously, there has been, false flag type events in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not accusing them of deliberately doing it. I mean, I'm just
this
saying,
is what they do,
you know what I mean? Yeah. They do things like this. Yeah, exactly.
Because then it's not like so direct, quote unquote, directly their fault as such, is it? They can just set things up and then hope that chaos ensues, and oftentimes it does.
That's their game, chaos, and they bring order from chaos. They love chaos. That's what the Masons do. It's their, that's the devil's playground, But that sounds like a fucking nightmare. We all packed there, and then they're saying evacuate immediately. What the fuck are we supposed to do? Did people get angry and irate about it? I'd be fucking fuming. I'd be like, fucking shit. What do you think we're trying to do, you plonker?
Exactly. That's what people were saying. We're trying to, but we can't move. So,
just trying to panic people.
I'm not sure what that was a thing about.
Yeah, they're trying to say like shouting fire in a packed cinema. That's what that was.
Basically,
tantamount to doing that,
I mean, fortunately for someone like me who has, I don't know, I'm not an unaware person at all. But when I heard that, my immediate reaction was to find the humor in it, rather than to panic, because it is
panic. Don't panic. Yeah.
It's like you say, shouting fire in a cinema. Not that it's a dickhead
exactly
thing to
that.
do.
It's exactly that, isn't it? What, saying that there's been an emergency? Yeah. That's exactly what that is.
No, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that in of itself is kind of a funny thing to do, and I think that's a good joke. But maybe it was a coping mechanism. I went straight to humor rather than.
Fair enough. Yeah, good.
But because then we got out, and then just to sort of conclude about it. We got out, and then I've never seen the streets lined like that before, and the noise and everyone, it was craziness. So, but once you get out the tube, it was a really good day. It was really good. I met a few people. So
they had the bus going through, that kind of thing, the Arsenal team bus or open top bus and all that business. And they had the trophy, right? Premiership trophy and all that stuff, yeah?
Yeah, sadly not and it was a bit of an odd atmosphere because, in some senses, because of the Champions League final sort of debacle the day before. So that was still fresh in everyone's memories. But
I watched the first half of that, and Arsenal were doing really well until the latter half of the first half. Then they started going on the back foot, didn't they? They were really attacking a lot in the first half, weren't they? It was all about penalties. Didn't they score? There was a penalty awarded to Arsenal, is that right? And then there was supposedly a second penalty that should have been given that wasn't given. PSG got a penalty, is that right?
Yeah. It was kind of all about penalties, like you say.
Mad one, yeah. That's a fucking nightmare. That's when the ref controls the game, isn't it, though? That's what you don't want,
I actually thought, to be fair, the ref controlled it quite well, because what Arsenal tend to do a lot is just throw themselves on the floor, and the ref wasn't having any of that.
Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah.
Because they obviously, I love the team and I support the club. I have done since 1993, but I just hate seeing that. I hate seeing that.
It's a dirty continental custom, that kind of Spanish play, isn't it? That was what the Spanish and the Argies and the Uruguay, they're all known for that kind of dirty.
Yeah,
dirty play. We used to call it, dirty Argies and all that. The dirty play that would, it wasn't our way, was it, to do things like that? And I think Ronaldo was the worst for that, wasn't he?
Well, you never had it in the Premier League. Like, we grew up in a time where, like you say, it was always foreign countries like your Spains and Argentinas. And, I think, what was it? Tottenham got a player called Jurgen Klinsmann, and he would dive around, and he was like Austria was like singled out for it. Nowadays, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah,
sad.
it is sad. I mean, that was when football was a more, say, masculine but more physical game. And anyone floundering around on the ground, they'd just fucking be a laughing stock of even his own team. Do you know what I mean? You know.
Well, the point is, you're supposed to demonstrate that you're strong. Surely, that you're not going to get pushed over and pushed around. But nowadays, it's the opposite, isn't it? It's what do they call it? There's a phrase they've got for it now. It's kind of like, oh, I can't think of it. It's gone out of my head now. But yeah, it's like seen as an art form almost, like to be a diver who can get away with.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think Ronaldo was one of the biggest ones for that. You know, that was. I think he did that against Beckham. Well, I mean, Beckham lashed out with his foot that time, didn't he? And then Ronaldo fell to the floor like he'd been shot in the fucking head. You know, like a fucking dead body. And me and my mate, we always used to watch this stuff on the and joke about it. That they'll be getting out, they'll be giving him his last rites. A priest will come out, instead of with the stretcher. They'll be like a guy reading him his last rites because he's fucking mortally wounded the way he's acting up, and all that stuff. But it pisses me off. I hate that, and I hate that things like that can twist the game. It's almost as if there's another competition. There's the game of football, and then there's the fucking bullshit competition, which both teams are playing that as well. And winning the game is a mixture of bullshit and actual athletic prowess. But it's not exclusively one or the other. It's always a mixed bag of bullshit, isn't it? Watching a football game, to be honest.
Definitely now. In fact, it's probably mostly bullshit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right.
But this just on what's on the front screen here, for people who can't see it, it's about Trump telling Benjamin Netanyahu, "You're fucking crazy."
Yeah, well, that's it. See, I tell you what, AI is fucking doing my head in now. AI video creation is.
You've had a breakup with your AI.
Oh, my beloved Grok, my super Grok, which I fucking love Grok and X and Elon Musk and everything to do with it. It's just gone to shit now. Now, Grok was amazing. Like when Grok started, I mean, I got into about early last year, because we were both season 1, so-called, of the Truth Shock podcast. We started talking about AI, didn't we? We sort of developed an interest talking about it and looking into it, didn't we?
Yeah.
I made a few shitty videos that weren't, anything special, and I was just playing around. But then Grok, and it was all free initially, right? You could actually make videos and images and consult Grok, and it was literally free. It was like, this is kind of unbelievable. I was like, it's like almost as if I don't get it. How can this be proper of a video creation if it's free? But it was. I mean, everything else you had to pay for. And also, Grok had no censorship. Well, it does have some censorship, because there was like these fucking scaggy Labour female MPs who, for a joke, they were putting bikinis, these old crones, and they're complaining about that. Fuck's sake, they're trying to sue Elon Musk. These bitter old witches. Just for they've got no sense of humor. Putting my virtual vagina on display and all this, but you can't do that anymore. I mean, that's fine by me. I'm not into making fucking naked videos of Labour politicians, but some people think that's fun. But whatever. But Grok used to be brilliant. You could do spicy videos, like some of my YouTube videos that I make. My BitChute ones are a bit spicier, because BitChute, you can put things on. I mean, it's nothing offensive particularly, just a bit cheeky, just the great tradition of cheeky British sense of humor. So the latest one I've made is about transgenders. I might get an earring at some point. It's on my BitChute channel. But yeah, like I said, Grok used to be brilliant. You could you watched it progress. Initially it was 6-second videos, and then you could produce 10-second videos, and then instead of having to stitch them together yourself like I did, it would then let you extend it and up to 30-second videos. So it became quite cool. You could actually make a 30-second scene using Grok with its inbuilt sort of extending, which is ace. But about 3 weeks ago, anyway, I actually upgraded to Super Grok, because I was getting through so many videos. Because when you're making out videos, a lot of the time you don't get exactly what you want. It just looks bad or it looks shit. It's sort of like a lottery, really. You know, you have to sort of spin the wheel about 5 or 6 times. But lately, it's become 10 or 15 times, and I've just been trepid going into Supergrok now. I've got a subscription to the end of this month, but I've cancelled it because
I was going to say this has happened really fast, because I'm sure like a couple of weeks ago on the show you were bigging it up. So like you say though, about 3 weeks ago this changed, right? Then
it sort of was last week as well, but I didn't really go into it. But I'm not the only one. Everyone's noticed now. Well, it's not even up for debate. It's just a fact that now Supergrok, you pay $30, about 22 quid a month, which for what you got was basically unlimited. It was unlimited. You would never. The worst thing that would happen is if you made like 30 videos or 40 videos, you'd have to wait 2 hours for it to reset. And it was brilliant, because when you have to use the credit system and you're sort of always looking at the counter, how many videos you've got left, how many credits this is going to cost. There was none of that with Supergrok. So you just have like 3 or 4 windows open, each with a different iteration of Supergrok, just making videos on every one until you got what you want. It's fucking brilliant. But like I say, 2 weeks ago, you get like to make about 7 or 8, 10 videos max, and then suddenly it either switches you to 420 pixels, which is fucking useless.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 720 is the best they can do, which even then is not really performing well enough these days.
You can't get 4K. You would have to use something else to get 4K.
Yeah. You'd have to use an upscaler. Whereas Kling, I think it is, or Kling, that has HD, even 2K. So Supergrok's getting left behind. But like I say, you get about 10 generations, and literally, I've done 10 videos. 9 of them have been shit, and it hasn't worked because the video generation has gone to shit as well. It's worse than it was at the beginning. It's gone back to almost like, not quite as bad as Will Smith eating spaghetti, but it's gone to shit. It's just gone really bad. And you've maybe got 1 or 2 useful videos, and then it tells you to wait until 1 o'clock the next day until you can do anything again.
So it's just become severely limited.
The other day, I spent the whole day and I managed to make 2 4-second videos. They're the videos in this introduction that we saw, the introduction to this show.
Right.
So the one with the tax, with Starmer's cabinet printing money for the immigrants, that was one, and turning into vampires, tax vampires. That was one of them. And then the other one was the the Peter Mandelson and Keir Starmer shaking hands and then getting submerged in Epstein documents. And that's all I did for a whole day. That's pathetic. Do you know what I mean? It's a work for it. That's garbage. So
this is why I need my unlimited. When I use Runway, I have to have that unlimited plan, even though it is expensive. But it's also incorporative of everything, like Kling. You can even use Grok on it if you wanted to.
Yeah, but not likely to these days. It's a shame.
What's the other one that's really good? Anyway, he's now.
The other one is Google VO, and it's really expensive though, isn't
it? Yeah, that's actually on credits. That's still on credits. So if I want something, how can I put this? If I want to make a video or a scene that's maybe a bit more complicated, I'll give it to VO and I'll use a few credits with VO, even though there's not really too much difference between me and between VO and Kling to me. But Kling's still usually my go-to for video generation. And yeah, so Runway for me, in fact, I haven't used it for about 2 weeks, which is shocking actually. But yeah, Runway for me is still the superior one. It is just a bit pricey. And obviously it was way more.
Have you compared Kling and Runway then? You had to play off against them, kind of thing, yeah.
Ripped clean. Sorry?
Kling and Runway, have you compared them?
No, so Runway's like, Runway's own one. So yeah, Kling's better than Runway's.
Is it?
They call it Gen 4.5.
Oh, right.
It is better, yeah. It's more reliable. But it's like you say, it's a bit of a lottery, and it's still a lottery with Kling.
Yeah.
It takes a few goes. Sometimes that lottery can be good because it comes out with things you weren't expecting, or it has a kind of inbuilt logic to it where it kind of like can represent something for you in a way you weren't quite thinking, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. So you can sort of win the lottery in a couple of ways, you know. But yeah, but that's just that's going to improve. That will improve just over the next year or two.
See, I don't know that it will. That's the problem with Supergrok getting worse and Elon Musk and X. If their fucking AI's going to shit, it's like all of this stuff about the data centers, that they haven't got enough data centers. They haven't got enough energy. They need to build more power plants to fuel these data centers. Maybe like there's some kind of AI crunch. Maybe like I spoke to my girlfriend about this, and she said it's the classic bait and switch, really. That at the beginning of a release of technology or a process, you get the best and it really works. And then once they've got people on board, or once they're oversubscribed, then they'll cut it back. And that's how everything works, really, isn't it? I mean, food and stuff like that. I mean, think of Cadbury's, how that used to be, how the quality and how everything's just got degraded with popularity. Once something becomes popular, it goes to shit every single time, whether it's bands, chocolate bars, or AI video creation websites,
We'll see, because you got to remember as well, there's the image generation side, not just the video generation side. So you've got something like Midjourney, for example, which I forgot to mention then, which I would use for image generation and then animate it with Kling in Runway. So the image generation, it's sort of, well, there's so many good AI community. If you go on X, there's quite a good AI community there of image generators, and they do a few videos. But I've actually and what they allow you to do, which is really good, is they like you to take their images. You can just take it and animate it, put some music to it, and then as long as you at them when you post it, they're perfectly fine with that. There's no kind of like copyright type thing involved. So that's quite a strong scene on X.
I'll just go over that again, because I just, you see, I can't multitask because I'm a man. So I've just put
you're not a modern man.
not a modern man, proud caveman, but with good hygiene. Anyway, I've put these comments on the stream. We've got this gentleman, I presume. Do you know this guy? Is he one of your football people?
Oh yeah, why
not send him an FC?
Yeah, he goes into a few of the chats that I'm in for football. Yeah,
so cool. He's commenting on the phenomenon of the degradation quality of stuff. Subscription model, slow increments, obsolescence schedule.
So yeah, of course, there's always built-in obsolescence to think about. But so, what did you want me to say again about the image generation?
Oh yeah, please do. Sorry, brother. Yeah. Sorry to make you repeat.
So basically, what I was saying is, there's that part of it is really, really massive, and there's a big and a growing sort of AI community on X who are making proper cinematic grade level image generation through Midjourney. So it's already basically at cinematic, like, unless you want to start moving into sort of virtual reality, it's like almost at cinematic level anyway. So I don't think that will necessarily get that much better, but because it's just such high quality. If you look at some of the stuff you can make with Midjourney, for example, and if you go on some of these guys' profiles and see their work online, it's super, super impressive. But what I was saying they allow you to do as well is quite a nice community, because it's sort of a sharing communities. So they'll allow you to take one of their images and animate it and put some music to the background. And then as long as you at them when you go on X and post it, so that people are aware, that's an image generated by James Young, and then animated by Rob, sort of thing. As long as you just give them the credit for the image, and then also I'll just plug them a bit, to try and drive some traffic to their thing. They're perfectly happy with that. So it's quite a nice sharing community that's growing.
That's Runway, right?
So that's on
Midjourney. Oh yeah, but you said it's Midjourney.
Yeah, so Midjourney is an image generator. You can
right.
animate with it, but it's not really seen as having a great animator. It's
I see. But it makes really good cinematic images.
I've made some amazing stuff with it, honestly.
Oh, right.
You can see, I put posts on, if you go on my X account at Rob Future, then you can find Rob Future UK. Sorry, I can't remember.
I've seen what you do. You produce these women's faces and all that with big teary-eyed, big eyes and all that stuff.
Reflective
neon light and rain and that kind of stuff, like a kind of Blade Runner type thing, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been dabbling in. Obviously, I want to diversify at some point, but I quite enjoy doing those kind of reflective moments with a bit of music. But I do need to start adding more dialogue. This is the thing. I'm kind of being not reticent, but I just ended up getting into doing the music side of things a bit more and sort of neglecting the dialogue side of things. So that's going to be tricky because you know what it's like with lip sync and trying to get that right. You still there?
Yeah, I'm just about still here. Yeah, was it me who got cut off?
I think you disappeared briefly.
All right, fine. I'm still. Obviously, you can hear me. Okay, fine, good.
But yes, I think there is still essentially what I'm trying to say is I think there's still a lot going on in various aspects of the AI generation scene that are promising. But I take your point, and I'll keep an eye on it because it's going to be slightly worrying if it does start to deteriorate because I enjoy using it and
you use Runway, which is I've seen Runway. I cancelled Super Grok and I bought a thing with Kaling, whatever the fuck it is. But that's shit now because I like to do I like to put captions or prompts or stuff like in the video there's always going to be some text, there's not always, but there's like some text. But Kaling cannot accept text that you've put into it, they've written. It always garbles and fucks it up, and it's really annoying because it's a really simple thing you'd think that they could get right because you've inputted the text verbatim that you want it to show on the screen, but it just it garbles it up. So the Donald Trump with the caption "You're fucking crazy" speaking that was on that had to be on Grok because Kling couldn't handle that. It just could not create a caption verbatim from a prompt. You're fucking crazy. It just couldn't do it. It said you're cray like that. It was like, you're shit, Kling. That's such a small ask that you actually just produce text as I've typed it in. So Kling's no good for me either, to be honest with you. So I've cancelled that and I'll just use it up. Runway is not my thing because it's all about cinematography and lighting and everything, and I don't really need that. I just need goofy, cheeky images and characters messing around. I don't need light control, and I can't be arsed with that. I'm not necessarily going into that level of cinematography. I'm just trying to make funny music videos for the band. Do you know what I mean?
You could definitely still do that on Runway, but it is expensive. That's all. So
yeah. So I don't know what to do. So Kling, I'm done with Kling. It's shit. So I need a new. I know it's a 21st century problems, isn't it? I need a new AI thing. I know. I don't know what to do, but I might just give it a rest, the AI, for a bit and focus on writing. We move off from that. You know what I mean? So.
Well, look, you can always just sort of like chill with the AI for a little bit, see how it progresses, see if there's another iteration or an improvement in the next sort of like couple of months.
Well, that's just it. It had been getting constantly better. Superclock had been getting better and better. There was always new features and improved quality, and it went up to 720p. That was quite recently. I think that was only 6 months ago or so, right? But it's just got so much worse, and it's fuck. I think the golden times of AI where it's easy and accessible, it's gone, and now it's fucking hard to use, and it's just annoying. And you just think to yourself, I can't be bothered with this because it's just going to be a load of shit. It's like trying to play the lottery, and the tombola, and the prices are dog shit. I'm like, for fuck's sake, I don't want to open this package. This is rubbish. All of that anticipation and that kind of excitement of trying to create something, and it's just a load of shit. It's just your idea, whatever it was, just hasn't worked, or it's fucked it up, and it just made it look crap. And
it can be really frustrating. I
mean, so that's how I'm feeling with it.
Even with more the style of stuff I do. I mean, I'm quite fortunate that I can, to some degree, do it in the day as well. If I have a moment to, and so I don't always get the opportunity to do that. But if I do have a moment, I can, quickly generate something or try it anyway. But you can literally go all day banging on it, and not actually get 15, 20 seconds. But that a part of that is also me trying to be kind of like super specific and having a sort of more of a cinematic sort of style, I guess. Not that either is right or whatever, but I'm just saying. I think it just means that I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I was like, oh, I'm trying to be too much of a perfectionist with it.
Yeah. Well,
I
if
mean,
anyone in the audience has got any recommendations, I mean, the thing is, I don't know. I'm running out of things to use. Really, I mean, there's only really Runway left. VO is just too expensive, and you've got watermarks on VO, haven't you? I think Google VO.
for some reason,
Unless you pay for the unlimited, which is about £100 a month or something, right?
so as I've seen it with the VO on Runway, there's no watermark, and I think that's even at the lower levels.
Oh, right, okay, that's good.
So I was going to say to you, why I don't know what the price of the packages are, but I think Runway do a sort of like £30 one. So maybe when you dabble, if you still want to dabble into it, maybe just do that, and then
I might do.
Quite expensive, just to get.
I might do. But you say Runway's not as good as Kling, so that's the problem. Kling was always pretty good.
But Kling's on Runway, so
Runway, but the point is, if you're using Kling on Runway, it's going to cost more than using Kling on Kling. Do you know what I mean?
It's unlimited. Well, I don't know.
Is it unlimited? Yeah.
Everything's unlimited on Runway apart from VO.
Oh, that's kind of. Well, how much do you pay for that then?
Well, that's quite expensive. So that's like $79.
Well, a month.
Yeah,
that's too much cake. That's a lot of cake for me to swallow. Yeah, I'm not into
it was.
quid, yeah,
I had to think twice, but I got. To be fair, I do get a lot of use out of it, and I do enjoy for the most part using it, despite the frustrations. So I mean, for me, it's roughly worth it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not making any money from it, so you could argue what you want about. You're just losing money, but I mean, yeah.
I don't like the idea of having to increase my expenditure on AI 4 times because it was 20 quid for Supergrok all this time.
No,
I literally didn't ever run out. I was using it probably constantly while I was making videos. I was always doing day in, day out on it for those times I was making those music videos, and it was perfect. And I never felt there was no limits. And but then if I have to pay 4 times that, it's just. I'm not into it. That's 800. That's going to be $1,000. That's going to be $1,000 a year, right?
Yeah,
that's
no,
a lot, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, so also just before we get on to the thing,
before we sharp the stove, I was going to say it was a fucking spoonerism. Start the show. I mean, not sharp the stove, but yeah.
What was I going to say now? I've lost my train of thought. So just the idea that you can't put, because I thought text had improved from what I'd seen on an AI generation. Obviously, it used to be horrendous. Like a year ago, you try and get it to sort of like, I don't know, create someone stood next to a pub or a hotel or something, and then the sign on the hotel would just be complete gobbledygook, like a dream. Like in a dream when you see, that's exactly what it was basically back at the beginning. It was like, when you see signage when you're having a dream, it's very rarely your brain seems to find it very difficult to generate those images accurately. So it was always some gobbledygook, and that's got a lot better because you can easily do a hotel sign or a pub sign or whatever with
it works fine on Grok. Grok does text extremely well, but
Kling. Are you talking about Kling standalone using?
I'm on about Kling. I'm on about Kling Omni, which is the latest one. The latest Kling is a bag of shit for reproducing text. I mean, for whatever reason, you might want to introduce text, like because I create characters in my things. So maybe he's got a T-shirt on that says Roxy Music, or like I said, the thing about Trump saying you're fucking crazy, that wouldn't work. That didn't work at all on Kling. It's like a load of crap. It wouldn't even show the text, and then it just misspelled everything. So it's just weird. I just don't know why that's tricky. Yeah. Anyway, so listen. Let's start. Let's sharp the stove. Let's get started. Let's get started here. So it's quite interesting. This happened yesterday. I'll just play this. Probably you folks out there maybe made aware of this. Trump called Netanyahu fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy, which is what I was trying to produce. I was trying to get Axl Rose with Donald Trump's face in the intro video to shout. That took fucking ages. And as you saw the result, it looked like Donald Trump as a rock star, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. But it was all in the end. I had to stick 2 videos together. One with Netanyahu looking shocked, which was produced by Kling, and the first part was Grok. Anyway, we'll just play this bit here. This is old Jonesy. Old Jonesy. Come on, Jonesy. It's time for you to shine. All right. Oh, fuck, there's something wrong with BitChute now. Brilliant. Gobbles. He's really had a few on Alex this time, hasn't he? You know.
As most of you know, about 5 hours ago, Axios exclusively broke a massive story directly from inside the White House, the highest levels, that President Trump told Netanyahu, "You're fucking crazy. You've made, quote, everyone hate Israel. You'd be in prison right now for his conviction in Israel if it wasn't for Trump." All because Netanyahu continues to say, okay, I'll stop bombing Lebanon and other areas, and then every time a peace deal is about to be reached, he intensifies the attacks. And President Trump is beginning to understand that Israel knew and gave him bad intelligence, meaning Mossad and Netanyahu, 93 days ago, that the Middle East would fall in 3 to 4 days and that the Strait of Hormuz would not be closed. Trump understands now that this is probably going to lose the Republicans the midterms of the House and Senate. He understands it's derailed his recovery and created massive inflation. He understands that Israel is now seen as a pariah worldwide with the lowest approval rating of any country in the world, now tied directly to him. He's been trying to find an off-ramp for really 89 days. Only the first few was he delusional enough to believe.
Yeah, so that's basically the upshot of that. That's the thing with the Iran war in Iran. It's fucked up now because it should have been over weeks ago, and now it's going to fuck Trump up hard for the midterm elections in November, and that's going to be bad news. It's really bad news for basically humanity, because I think the Republicans under Trump, I think what they're doing is incredible. That they're trying to dry out the deep state and the swamp and everything. Are you still there? Because something beeped and I might.
I dropped out and then
that's all right.
Back in.
Yeah, so this is the thing, and this is quite interesting. I mean, calling Netanyahu fucking crazy. I mean, we all think he is, but the insinuation is that he deliberately misled Trump, saying it would be a matter of weeks. This is what Trump said. He said it would last days, but it's turned into a fucking something like not quite Vietnam, but it's just become a long, drawn out, fucking nasty game of chess between this IRGC, who just seem to be like some kind of fucking Hydra, where you chop one leg off and another one grows somewhere else, and they're really fucking bad. I'm in favor of the Iranian people in this thing, but this is bad if it's going to affect Trump, because a lot of conservatives think like you, Future Shock, that you don't want these wars for Israel, which is what it's looking like more and more, and it was started under false pretexts.
And he's right. He also, when Alex Jones says about Netanyahu intensifying closer to the when there's supposed to be a peace deal or breaking peace, this has always been the pattern. He's just done it all the time, going back God knows how many years we've been dealing with this guy now. I don't even want to think how many years he's been there, if he is the same Netanyahu, of course, which we covered before. But I think you're right about not just fucking up the midterms, but the next few years, because it's just increasing the chances that Dems are going to get in. And as much as people may not like Trump or Republicans, surely you can, when you look at that as an option, i.e. Dems coming back in and how crazy they are, because they're not going to chill out anytime soon in the next couple of years. If anything, they're probably going to get worse. So yes, it's a bleak prospect.
It's like COVID sabotaged him last time, didn't it? Sabotaged his presidency, and now it's looking like this Iranian conflict will sabotage him this time, and it's just bad for everything. It's bad for freedom, free speech, because the whole world is following, is watching Trump and everything like that. And I think there's a lot of respect for him. I think people respect him all around the world, even his opposition, even his enemies, ideological enemies, like Chinese and even the Venezuelans. They probably respect him more than they respected someone like Joe Biden, who was clearly just a fucking empty suit that was puppeteered by the Jewish lobby. That was mostly, his cabinet was made of mostly Jewish people, and they were just puppeteering this empty fucking decaying shell of a zombie president, basically president. We've got new comments from your boy. Said, what is he? No, why not? I keep getting freaked. Why not send him an FC? So he's got a comment here. What does he say? Benny Boy isn't in jail by ICJ because he is from protected class and would be seen as anti-Semitic. Well, they make the rules, don't they? They seem to be top of the preferential citizenry, don't they? There's a pecking order. Who suffered the most? The 6 Gorillion. They are there, and they're below them. There's the isms. You get the various minorities, and then at the bottom there's the white man, of course, who is the bottom of the pile in terms of preferential treatment. But you just have to observe the hoo-la-la about the stabbing. Of course, stabbing Jews is not encouraged in any way in this show, and we condone such things. But they weren't even killed. Yet you can have ladies, boys murdered, young men murdered by these immigrant gangs, women killed, and the press will do their best to keep it quiet. Although the Novak thing, the Henry Novak thing, that's exploded.
I was going to say we were probably going to come to that at some point, but yeah,
they did their best not to release the footage. They did their very best to sort of do damage control. The UK police initially, didn't they?
I don't really know many of the absolute direct quotes, but the way it gets politicized, and then the people who are politicizing it are saying that the other people are politicizing it, like the likes of Farage and all that, trying to create race riots, trying to create this, and trying to create anti-diversity sentiment. It's like no one's trying to do any of those things. People are reacting. This isn't like some proactive thing. People are reacting in a way that seems quite natural. Now, that doesn't mean kick them all out of the country. It's not a racism thing like that. But obviously, people are going to react with abhorrence to a situation like that, especially when you see the body cam footage and hear what was said, and then also you contrast that with the fact that when you had the Floyd killing in to some degree, some similar circumstances with what the police were doing to him and stuff, although obviously they were very different people. Floyd was an actual criminal, multiple criminal. But you see Starmer and his crony, I can't remember who it was, getting on one knee,
threatening people who were protesting before anything even happens.
If the shoe was on the other foot, we all know it would be different.
Could you imagine if it was a black person who had been stabbed by a white guy, and the same circumstances, the police had handcuffed the dying black man, and then Starmer says anyone who doesn't like this basically will receive the full force of the law. He wouldn't dare say that because black people have a preferred status over white men. It's like I don't want to say too much because it gets me going, but when it first came out, it seemed to me that there's a license to kill white people. If they say racist, they don't deserve to live. You have the right to kill them when they use just for being racist. Apparently, that's a death. That's worthy of death penalty in this sort of unseen logic of the police. If they can handcuff a dying man because he was accused of being a racist, that's insane. The guy stabbed him, and the guy's dying, and he's checked as the criminal because he said the racism trumps murder. That's madness, isn't it? We're really fucked up.
Well, listen, I've been in, not wishing to say so much specific, but I've been in workplaces in the past where I've been on meetings where actually that it's been said by white British people in the hierarchies that there are too many white faces and we need to do something about it.
Yeah, well, the RAF did that, didn't they? They're all doing that. Even the RAF is saying we don't want white people to apply anymore, right? We're trying to discourage white people. Yeah,
I didn't know that. No, but it
didn't
doesn't
you know
surprise
that?
me. It
Right,
doesn't
yeah,
surprise me.
right.
But what I was just going to say something quickly, going back to what we were talking about Trump. I think because you mentioned about him being sort of, I think, underestimatedly respected globally. I think there's a lot of people who wouldn't agree with us when we say that, but he's got a kind of, weirdly, ironically, he's got a kind of diplomatic element to him. He's got a very good sort of diplomat, even though you see his tweets, obviously, that seems to contrast that sometimes. But when he's dealing with your higher ups, like the proper hierarchical types, he's got this diplomatic side. Now, I understand I'm saying this in the context of him saying you're fucking crazy to Netanyahu, but maybe he just seems to have lost it in the moment, sort of thing. But generally speaking, he's actually more diplomatic than people realize. I think it's quite easy to see when you see how he deals with people, when he meets people, when he meets goes across seas and meets.
No, I he's usually diplomatic. He's really good at politics, Trump. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't get it, and whatever.
Yeah, I mean they respect him. I mean, the Chinese premier, Winnie the Pooh, whatever, and of course the North Korean peace deal and everything like that. It's only because Iran is ruled by these apocalyptical lunatics, these Shia Muslims who want the end of, who actually their reason for existing is to create the end of the world. So the Mahdi will come, the Islamic Jesus, and they reckon Jesus will be backing up the Mahdi as his right-hand man. It's just the most fucked up thing. 12 Islam, Shia Islam, and the particular group that took over Iran in 1979, they've declared that they're from a certain school of esoteric Islam, where they're committed to ensuring the Mahdi's return, but that only can happen at the end of the world. And this apocalyptical battle between good and evil. And that's what this country, that's what the leaders are doing. So the thing is, would it have been better to let them build up their arms, let them develop nuclear technology, nuclear weapons, and then having to deal with a nuclear Iran? Probably, to be honest, it's better that Trump's done this now. And even though it might fuck up their chances of re-election and the control over the houses or whatever, it may be that it's a necessary evil that you can't have Islamic apocalyptical, mentally ill, borderline like Illuminati, basically, because they have an initiation ceremony, IRGC, which has been described as they're put in a coffin for the night to experience death. And this is what the skull and bones do. So what this is it's like it goes back to ancient Egypt, where they say that they would be shut up in the interior of the pyramid or something like that, or shut inside the sarcophagus, facing absolute darkness, and maybe drugged. So you can imagine that's what they used to drug the initiates, so they'd have these crazy trips. They'd be scared to death. They wouldn't know what would be happening to them. They wouldn't know that they'd been drugged because they weren't told. They would think they'd entered another dimension, right? They thought they'd been taken to hell. But this is what the Hassan ibn Sabah, the assassins, the assassins, the old assassins, right? He used to use apparently hashish, or probably more like opium. And it's Hassan ibn Sabah, that 12th century, the man in the mountains. He would take these, the old man in the mountain, he would take these young recruits. They had this incredible land of milk and honey. They'd be drugged and they'd be sort of told they'd been killed, they'd died, and they'd wake up in heaven. And it was like a man-made heaven. And there'd be women there, they could fuck them, and they'd be drinking wine and doing all the things associated with heaven. And then Hassan ibn Sabah would reappear saying, right, you've had enough of heaven. I'm going to restore you to life. Now you will serve me, and you will die for me, but when you die, you will be returned here. And so that's a kind of mind control where they were drugged, and of course they believed it. And these assassins, of course, they became they would lay down their life. And I think famously there's a scene, the assassin leader met the Templars. Yeah. And he said to the Templars, you may have power with the swords, but I can command this man. Look at that man over there. And he pointed to a man standing at the top of the mountain, across the ravine. And he says, with one word, I can order that man to throw himself to his death. And he did. the leader of the assassins made a signal, and the man threw himself into the ravine to his certain death. I mean, and the Templars were so impressed with this power, and no doubt they learned the secrets of mind control from the assassins, and that's how the Freemasons got it. And this is what the IRGC represent, as far as I'm concerned. They represent the assassins, this 12th century insane branch of Shia Islam. Absolute bonkers they are. They're absolute nutcases. They don't even believe in Islam. They're something else. They're like, I think famously Hassan's last words was "Nothing is true, everything is permitted." So that's weird. Right. That's like Gnostic. That's not like a religious thing
that's
which
crazy.
has morality and dogma. You don't say everything is permitted, nothing is true, because reality is supposed to be about finding the truth and the way to live your life. So yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. So I've got this thing up here. You know, this is what I saw the RAF described as useless white male pilots. Can you believe that? Huh? Useless white male pilots. Yeah.
But I received, and just underneath there, where I was just reading down, where it says they 31 white men are to receive $5,000 each to compensate them for being unfairly disadvantaged. Where did they even get a figure like that from? Do you know
$5,000. It's like, that's like almost like a kick up the arse. That's a piss take, isn't it? It's a piss take. Yeah, it's a piss take. Yeah. Because imagine if that was America and it was a black person, they'd be millionaires, wouldn't they? They'd have made their living on
like B.A. Baracus.
Yeah.
That why not has put in here, I ain't getting on no plane, wasn't it? That's what he used to say. Why not's just commented that there. He's also put in another comment with this about this headline, saying, with this headline, I would look into the why of this statement. What's the errors committed to make y'all useless as pilots? RAF pilots probably 80 to 95% of pilots. Well, yeah, exactly. So why are they suddenly terrible? And why are all the women and non-white people suddenly automatically better? I wonder why.
Group Captain Elizabeth Nicole. Well, that doesn't seem right for a start, but never mind. Anyway, the then head of RAF recruitment resigned in protest. Unlawful order, effectively to poor selection of white recruits. Yeah, but then you'll end up like DEI, you know, like in America, all those crashing, or New Zealand Navy, or those incidences, all those crashing planes in America. That was that last year? You know, remember when Trump banned DEI, and it seemed just to coincide with that, he sort of proved how how prophetic he was, because all these planes started flying out of the sky and these helicopters. Remember all that stuff?
Yeah, and then
women pilots and things like that, and sort of minority choices, just things falling out of the sky because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing or something, right? And then they've been selected because they had the right color of skin or the right gender rather than having the actual skills needed, you know?
If you remember at the time as well, because I think it was quite close to when Trump had got into power, and people were saying about it, they weren't understanding what you've just given there as perspective on it. They would instead be saying things like, oh, look, we told you Trump's a disaster. Look at all these planes falling out of the sky. It's like, no, that's not quite how this is working. But they wanted to pin it on him, didn't they? As opposed to it actually being, like you say, prophetic and proving, or going some way anyway, to demonstrate what he was going on about.
Yeah, so they're not identifying the person, but the quote from this person, he says, well, this is what's an internal, it's an email, it's internal communications, RAF, boarding profile. So they're saying they want BAME, black and Asian minority, female. It's funny how female and black and Asian minority is sort of equivalent somehow, isn't it, in this sort of DAI game? So and I don't know how I feel about that. If you're black, you're sort of on the same. Well, if you're a female, you might, you're sort of lumped with blacks, and if you're black, you're lumped in with the females. It's like being the last to be chosen for the team for the school football game, isn't it? So that's kind of it. I mean, it's like so many of these things. It's racist in itself, isn't it? These people are the racists.
Yeah,
choosing people based on the color of their skin is racist. Choosing people based on their gender is sexist. That's exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, and even if you're going to try and argue like these people do sometimes about, oh, it can't be racist the other way around because of like hierarchical power structures historically and all this kind of stuff, then if you want to put that to the side, it's still sexist.
Yeah. So
So
don't need to see load of useless white male pilots. Yeah, I mean, it's just because they've got these targets, but like everything else, it's all repetition, it's all brainwashing. They probably have weekly trainings on, like every career does now. Every week, it's the same training. I mean, anyone
yeah,
out there in the professions may notice. It's like deja vu every week. It's always about equality training and that kind of thing. Allowing everyone to access the service regardless of race, gender, but it's endlessly the same thing. And it's just because if they repeat it, it becomes a habit, and then you no longer have a conscious choice because you're just going on the sort of the way you've been programmed, you know.
oh yeah,
And in that environment, you can't be the one to stand up and say this is a load of bollocks because you want to keep your job, you know. So that's what it is. It's all like this. So yeah, so that's that. You know, that's a load of bollocks. So so interested in talking about the UFO thing. Has anything been going on there about that? I haven't looked. It's been a load of bollocks. The only thing coming up next is the Steven Spielberg movie, isn't it?
yeah. That's not going to be. It's about. Is that this month or next month? I can't remember.
June. It's some of the 21st of June or something. You know.
Whatever,
20th of June. Because I went to see fucking Backrooms the other day. You know, you heard of Backrooms?
No, what's that?
Oh well, I won't go. I might go into it a bit later. But if you've not heard of it, it's like we won't labor it. But Backrooms is pretty cool. You know, it's check it out. I'm not gonna. I might go into it later because I've got a few videos. But yeah, I went to see that. And there was the trailer for Disclosure, but
Yeah.
it just looks. It's one of those things where they're creating it's a movie, but they're trying to cross out the line between the movie is actually reality. It's actually this is a movie about disclosure, but this is and the fact that we're in this disclosure period, the movie is trying to influence the sort of cultural zeitgeist into believing it's true. You know what I mean, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's a load of bollocks. It's like I haven't seen anything in these UFO disclosures that have been released on X, mostly where I find it, because I've gone over them every week and I've said, well, this could be this, so this is something else. This isn't necessarily a UFO. This is this is that. I haven't seen anything convincing, and if it may be that it's just going to be, they're going to use the disclosure movie to start to sort of promulgate the idea that, you know, that these. What is the idea that the UFOs of future humans come back in time or something?
Well, some people are saying that. Some people say they're more interdimensional beings. Obviously, we've mentioned on this show as well about how we've certainly considered anyway the idea there could just be other technology, and it's kind of a bit of a cover up to cover the fact that humans, other governments, whoever, have technology like that. So I mean, there's multiple options. To be honest with you, yeah, because it's been a hectic few days with me with a birthday week and whatnot. I've not really been on X for about a week, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I remember seeing them. I remember seeing the original kind of like released ones that, you know, what's the name was putting out. Anna Paula, is that her name? Was it Anna Paula and all them in the government? Annalena Paula, you know the one I mean. Anyway. And yeah, there's nothing really convincing on there, but there's also sort of rumors that this is just like in fact, I don't even think it's rumors. I think they've stated that this is the first batch of release and there's going to be allegedly more juicy stuff to come. So I guess we just have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, well, I'm far from convinced about it, to be honest with you. You know, so.
I just think it'd be interesting going back to what you were saying about the cultural zeitgeist and being influenced. I think it'd be interesting around the Disclosure Day movie date and week. What are they going to bring out then? Is there going to be something happen? Is there going to be something that's going to pop onto X or wherever and cause a big stir just as the movie's getting released? So I'm quite curious to see what happens around that time.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, we can do that. Yeah, so why not? Sentiment FC said if only white guys want to be pilots, they would have to vet from the herd, harder to sort of chaff. Do you agree with that? I don't know if I agree with that.
I'll just read that again.
I can show it on the screen. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think the point is that they have these quotas that they need to fulfill, and they can't. They want to have as many black people and non-whites as possible. So they're getting frustrated that they're getting too many. Well, proportionally, there's what's the population of the country? It's 85% white, isn't it? It's a white, ostensibly, it used to be a white country. There was minorities, those were considered minorities, but they're probably the quotas they're trying to achieve are probably unrealistic because they don't reflect demographics. So what you're going to be doing then is you're going to be choosing from a smaller selection of black BAME applicants who are perhaps statistically, because there's a smaller quantity, are less skilled. And the white pilots who are applying, there's a larger pool, and you can obviously reject those who haven't got the skills or just are useless. But with the black or the BAME, you'll have a smaller pool, so logically you're going to have a less selection. So this is the problem, and you're going to end up with people who are not necessarily who are getting it because
I think that's kind of what why not sort of alluding to there.
Yeah, right.
Just as you were talking, I had to check this because I thought the percentage was wrong, and apparently it's the Google AI about the percentage white in the UK. It says in the UK about 81% of the total population.
I think I said about 80 to 85.
This approximately 74 to 76 identify as white Brit. Yeah. So and then after that you've got the white Irish, white Roma, and other white sort of groups. So so it's more like 75% ish now.
Yeah, really, right. So all right, let's crack on. I'm just going to show this thing about the so the thumbnail I've used for this is they've got the Nazi sources back again, right? So there's some quite interesting stuff. There it is. Yeah. This is something I've gone on about, but I found this article that covers a lot of the main points, things I talked about before. So let's have a look at this, right? So this is this article, The Tale of the Nazi Saucer. So we've got this claim that in January 1948, lectures were given in Darmstadt internment camp on the subject of flying saucers and German V-2 rockets, which had allegedly been under construction by Germany during the war on the islands of Usedom and Wallen. Person given these lectures allegedly worked on both of the above projects. You see, I'm not trying to dissuade you of your belief in UFOs and aliens necessarily, but I'm just this is where the research has led me. You know what I mean? This was where I'm seeing gravitating. I just think they're lying to us about the UFOs. I think they're trying to make this a pivot to socially engineer us into sort of changing our ways, throwing away God and Christianity and worshiping the aliens instead, right?
No, I think you've gone into that like previously with me, and we sort of like had a look at that idea. I mean, I don't know. You could be right, definitely, but also, do you not think that in some way, as civilization moves forward down the centuries, if we make it, those things, and I don't necessarily mean they believe in a God or creator, but certainly being tied to a specific religion. If we were to become a more intergalactic, and obviously I'm talking to the future here, if we were to become a sort of intergalactic faring civilization that did know other alien civilizations, and those alien civilizations didn't have God, not God, but they didn't have like the same religions, obviously Christianity.
Well, but they're going to be the God. That's the idea, that the aliens are going to be saying like, this is why we got those movies like Alien fucking Prometheus, where the alien engineered us. I think the idea is they're going to try and make out that the aliens are the gods,
That might be something that happens soon, but I'm just thinking more sort of in the longer term. Wouldn't it just naturally be the case that the civilization would shed those things? A civilization sufficiently advanced would shed those things. Like I say, just to clarify, that doesn't necessarily mean a belief in a creator or God. I just feel you can have those beliefs potentially separate from a stated religion. I just feel that's naturally what we'll err towards if we survive. But you could be right, in the short term, they might try and do this.
I don't think so. I think, if anything, like these days, we've seen how evil the people who rule our world are, and we've seen how evil our own government is. If anything, there's no way that what is happening is not about between good and evil. It's the more evil reveals itself, the more it becomes polarized. That it's clearly there's something unnatural about this. There's something not human about the way our leaders, our Labour Party, are treated. They're not human. Obviously they're human beings, not like reptilian bullshit. But the way that what's happening to the human race is not in the benefit or interests of humanity. But that's not to say it's aliens, but there's something else going on. There's something being hijacked here. And I know what I say. It's the Freemasons. It's the Kabbalists who hijacked this, but then in turn the Kabbalists are trafficking with demons and discarnate beings. So this is what you realize when you see so much evil. The evil itself, it gives itself away. It's like by showing such darkness, it shows you the light, because it's what's missing in the gap. Because that's, and I think a lot of people are turning to Christianity because of this.
Yeah, sure, with the existence of that, it gets people thinking more about wanting. I guess also with the way that society is at the moment, the way it's been going, even when you look at things like having bloody OnlyFans and all that, and it being lauded up almost in a way. I know there's a lot of people who would, hate OnlyFans, don't get me wrong, but it's almost like you've got these stupid girls like your Bonnie Blues and all that sleeping with like thousands of men, and it's kind of like they don't really get that chastised for it like they would. You could never do that. You could never pull those kind of stunts in like the 90s, for example.
It would just be trashy as fuck. It's just not cool. It would be disgusting, and anyone who was associated with that would be just, not to say uncool. I know it sounds trite, but they would just be seen as fucking uncool and cringe. Cringe is the word now, but yeah, it wouldn't happen because there were standards back then. It's just not the thing you did. It's like, who would do that? Especially with like sexually transmitted diseases and that kind of. It's obviously suicidal to behave like that. It's obviously self-destructive. This Bonnie Blue, and obviously she's mentally ill. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. No, I've said this before. I've said for ages. Yeah, I was going to use the phrase, "You worry what's going to happen to it." I don't particularly worry. Don't want that to sound offensive, but you know what I mean. You kind of think to yourself, you think, it's okay now when she's sort of in her 20s or whatever, but what happens when how's she going to feel about herself when she's
anally incontinent in her 30s?
Yeah,
exactly. A fucking nappy when she goes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. In fact, I was being generous then, saying 40. It could well be by like.
See, this is the thing. This is the thing about pornography and everything. It's like it's almost been made fashionable. It's like I remember when women used to wear porn star T-shirts. You remember that? That was like in the noughties, the so-called fucking noughties. That's when porn became cool. Porn was fucking sad as fuck. Mm. It was something that the magazines, it's like it would be the frustrated married man whose wife won't have sex with him. Hasn't had sex with him since the second child because she doesn't feel like it anymore. So he'd go and he'd furtively go to the fucking corner shop and he'd have a stash and he'd hide it from his wife. He'd hide it in a variety of locations. And then one day his missus would find his stash and he had to get it out of the house and dump it on the railway sidings or on a bit of wasteland. Yeah. When you were young, that's where you always found porn mags because you knew it was some poor, sad old bloke. His wife had found him out and told him, "It's me or the mags. Who do you want to live with? You can live with your magazines. I'll divorce you." And it was sad as fuck, Okay, as young we were growing up, we saw a bit of minge in the wild. We saw a stray porn mag, and it was like, what the fuck is this? This is incredible.
Well, I was going to say,
it was always within the concept of this is wrong. This is kind of wrong, but ultimately this looks amazing. And you knew you hid it from your your mum and dad or whatever, didn't you, to your best of your ability or whatever, right? Back then, you know.
Yeah, and it was
It
just
wasn't something cool though, was it? By any means.
no. You get mocked if you watched it. Like if people found out that you watched it, or you, like you say, if you just find one and then have a little look at it, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly getting, do you know what I did one time? For this guy used to run a. This is going to sound seedy as fuck, but I'll just say it. This guy used to run a computer shop where you like bring in like games and swap games and stuff like this. So, but he also used to sort of dish out these bloody CDs of porn off his computer. And then I used to go and buy him, well, he would give me money and I would go and get like porn mags for him. Fucking weird, isn't it? Now I look back on it and think I only did that like twice when I was like sort of, I don't know, a fucking teenager.
So, and he digitized them or something, or what?
So he would do. I'm not sure what he did with the. Well, I can guess what he did with the magazines. Probably no, but he was just getting his own. He was making CDs from the internet, but he was also getting people like me because he wouldn't go to the porn shop because he didn't want to be seen going to the not porn shop, but you know the newsagent.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be seen going into a newsagent locally because everyone knows him as the guy who's, you know, he's got a shop in the town, so he didn't want to then be seen by people going into the local bloody shop, you know, the local bloody newsagent.
It's always everyone just should take the piss out of people using porn. It's just like Lonely Hearts things, like internet dating organizations where that was the cringiest, saddest thing ever. But now that's how most people meet a partner or something, isn't it? Although partner's probably an optimistic word for things like fucking Tinder and Bumble and all those things. But back in the day, if you had to use some kind of like Lonely Hearts club organization or like, you know, in the magazines, the Lonely Hearts, that was the saddest thing ever. But this is now we're all fucking Lonely Hearts in the virtual web space, like lonely, cringing hearts, desperate. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is actually, and this sort of ties a little bit back with the AI thing in a way. What I've noticed is that more recently is that more people are against it, and I think you're probably statistically correct that you know, people mainly meet quote unquote partners from these apps. Yeah. But it's changed. It seems I just get this vibe that the conversations I had with people generally now about dating apps, people are tired of them. They don't want to use them anymore. They badmouth them. Like maybe 5-7 years ago, or maybe just sort of like pre-bug times, people seem fairly complimentary of them. Oh, it just makes my life easier. You know, I've got a busy job and, you know, I can't really get out that much. But you don't really seem to hear those kind of chats anymore. And I generally, if I bump into someone who uses an app and we converse about it, more often than not now they will be like, I don't know why I'm on it. It's crap. It's not working for me. So I think the tide is changing with them a little bit.
Well, it tends to be the behavior of the women on these apps is, I mean, I've never used them, but I've got a friend who does. And he says all the women want to know is what your job is. The first thing they'll ask you is when you swipe and you get connected or whatever, they'll ask you what your job is. That's all they want to know. And that obliquely means how much money have you got? And it's so fucking disgusting that they're just mercenary. I mean, I'm not saying all women, of course, but based on the sample size of people I've spoken to, seems to be a consensus. It's just the women who use that, they feel that because they're using this sort of app, they don't have to have any social pretense about what their wishes are. And they literally do, don't they? They say, I want this, I want that, I want a family, I want a wealthy guy, no losers, all this kind of really sort of fucking spoiled little Veruca Salt kind of rhetoric from these women. And the sad thing is, men, they're such simps. They will, so pussy hungry, so many men will just do it. You know, the way they've been, you know, they'll just go.
Yeah, I think it has created that simpish, is part of the thing anyway, that's created that sort of such a simpy sort of situation. And I think everything, it kind of like sort of ties in with itself, because I think this sort of simpiness is kind of a part of the fact that it's become more difficult for men because of these type of women you're talking about, and like we say, not all women, but there are some really sweet ones out there, of course, that you can find.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But
yeah.
This simpiness is kind of part of the stagnation that people are feeling, part of the kind of loneliness. So they're kind of getting more desperate. So they'll just sort of do anything to get any woman, and and of course that involves being a simp and just sort of, or throwing loads of money at it and hoping it'll stick. And maybe she's dating him, but she's like bloody smashing a couple of other dudes on the side. You know what I mean? This is the other thing.
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of proliferation of, kind of sleeping around behavior, way more, I think, amongst certain amounts of women anyway, in the West. So, in the UK or in America, and that's kind of like putting a lot of men off as well. Because I mean, most of us, I think most sort of sane men, like we kind of are, we want somebody who's sweet. We don't want. No one really wants, going back to sort of old school sayings, the town bike. Do you know what I mean? It used to be an insult to be the town bike or seen with the town bike, as they used to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you say,
your mates would take the piss out of you or whatever,
And now it's like more acceptable.
Yeah. So anyway, listen, I'll get back on track a bit here. So just going over this stuff, I've got some other interesting stuff. I found this report of a UFO from 1896. Can you believe that? 1896.
Yeah, sort of. What's that guy's name?
I'll look into that in a minute.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, go on.
Anyway, I don't know the guys, but this thing is this. This was 19. What year was this? Hang on, I've got the wrong page. Wait a minute. No, blah 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 blah. 1950. This was in a news story, Los Angeles Mirror. Hang on. Hang on. What's this? First public allegation of German scientists working on flying discs 5 years after defeat was in Los Angeles Mirror. This is something different. This is Belluzzo's interview in Giornale d'Italia, a diagram of Germany's flying discs. So this was an Italian scientist said today types of flying discs were designed and studied in Germany and Italy as early as 1942. I think I've made reference to an article about General Franco's UFO secrets after the fall of Spain there. So Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, he added, were interested in the instruments. The idea was developed concurrently both in Italy and Germany. Flying discs or saucers been reported sighted recently in many parts of the world. The Italian scientist Giuseppe Belluzzo, noted Italian authority on projectiles and cannons, builder in 1905 of the first steam turbine in Italy, made his declaration. So this guy is an engineer, and he's a proper good one.
Right.
He made his declaration in Rome's independent Giornale d'Italia. Frequent reports. There's nothing supernatural or Martian about flying discs, he said. They're simply rational application of a recent technique. I may have even quoted this before. Professor Belluzzo expressed the opinion that some great power is launching discs to study them. This is something Jacques Vallée quoted.
I was about to say about it.
Yeah, Jacques Vallée's had all this out here as well. So reports of flying discs in the Italian skies have been frequent. So is it Italy as well? That's funny. We don't hear about that, do you? You hear about America, Roswell, and all that, but you don't hear about Italian UFO sightings, which is really queer. There's also a famous Swedish angle home after the war, very famous encounter of the second kind, I think, right? If you remember, we used to speak in terms of close encounters of the first, second, and third kind. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So is the second kind an actual sort of face-to-face type thing?
I believe it is. I think it's seeing the occupants of the ship. And I think the third kind is actually going into the saucer or something like that, right? Because there was that famous Spielberg, again, movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So he's always been pushing this alien agenda of Spielberg. And, we know where he comes from, what his ethnicity is. He seems to be, as I've noticed on this, there's been a strong overlap between Kabbalistic secret groups and UFO cults. There seems to be coming from a certain direction, and these agents might have it's in their interests to destroy Christianity and discredit it, because Christianity has always opposed them, or rather they've opposed Christianity. So I think it's that. I see it in those terms. Anyway, listen. Flying saucer design is given to Il Duce and Hitler in 1942. Il Duce, of course, Mussolini. Rome, Italy. Professor Giuseppe Belluzzo, 73-year-old Italian turbine engineer, said that to date, designs for flying saucers were prepared for Hitler and Mussolini. According to those designs, he said in an interview, the discs could carry a cargo of explosives of any kind and destroy entire cities. So blah 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 blah. Yeah, very very interesting. Yeah.
Have you heard about the Vargin? I have to be careful how I pronounce it. The Varginha alien story. It's a Brazilian one. I don't know if you know about that.
Is that something to do with Bobs and Vagina? Is that those Indian aliens or something? Isn't it?
So basically, what happened was there was 3 young girls who stumbled across allegedly stumbled across an entity, matching kind of like, or vaguely matching. Actually, it was a bit of a weird description because I remember them saying it had like very large red eyes. You don't usually see. Obviously, you see people or hear people describe it as very large black eyes, and apparently, this thing was taken to a hospital. They couldn't do anything, and it was taken to a military base, and they've done lots of reports. It's very interesting. I'll try and get it sorted properly for next week maybe, but basically they did a lot of reports into people, into what had happened to people who'd come into contact with it, and they'd all died from like radiation poisoning and stuff like this. So.
Okay, not heard of that, but anyway, look, there's this diagram. This is interesting. So because jet technology was first, I think it was created by the Germans. The Nazis got there first with jet technology. This is using jet technology, but it looks like the whole craft is a kind of a jet engine in a way. So there's this turning section. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm not an engineer myself, but that kind of makes a kind of logical sense that if they were designing these saucers while they were designing jet aircraft. There was Nazi jet aircraft that actually did fly, but their combat ready, their combat airtime was only a matter of 15 or 20 minutes. It was so impractical, and they were so dangerous because they used, liquid oxygen, and they used oxygen in the form of hydrogen peroxide. So it was really. And in one terrible incident, the plane, I think a plane was hit, one of these jets, a German jet. The guy inside was doused in acid and basically dissolved. The plane landed, and what they found inside was just the man's legs and arms all melted off because of the acid, because it punctured the fuel container, and he just melted in his cockpit. So these Nazi jet aircraft were extremely dangerous and unpleasant for the pilots. So I didn't really, and of course they only had 20 minutes or so airtime. They didn't take off. They didn't take off, pun intended, if you like, right? But anyway, so that seems to be this. Former Luftwaffe captain aircraft designer Rudolf Strever says engineers throughout the world experimented in the early 1940s with flying saucers, willing to build one for the United States. So this is what I think happened. I think this is what happened. This is where the American saucer technology, this is where it all came from post-war Nazis and Operation Paperclip and all that. So yeah, I think I'll try and find this website's name and put it in the chat.
It's kind of an Occam's razor type thing, isn't it? In terms of like, it is the simplest answer that they're sort of Earth origin, or a lot of them. I mean, it may be that you're looking at. It may be a bit of both, column A and column B sort of thing. So yeah, I don't doubt that a lot of these sightings are actual human-made objects that are being kind of tested out or whatever, or for whatever reason they're being revealed in certain places. So
yeah, I'll just put a link to this website in the chat. Hang on, what's going on in the chat? Is anyone?
There's nothing. We're up to date on the chat.
Oh no, hang on. Is it becoming a pilot is a life dream? Expensive and fucking long and boring. Seen that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Okay. Oh, 5K. Oh, you said the 5K makes it crazy. That's a good point. Yeah, that's fucking insulting.
Well, that's why it
isn't
struck me straight away when I saw it. I was kind of like, you're
Yeah.
offering them 5K as compensation. You're taking their absolute piss.
Yeah. So I want to talk about now is this weird 1891 UFO sighting in 1891.
But that's just, this is the sort of thing that Valet would talk about, isn't it? Because he said he gave a story about a sighting in the 1800s. I want to say it was 1842. I don't know why that's in that, but it was certainly 1800s anyway. And yeah, he gave a description of how those multiple people just saw this craft come down and then zoom off. And obviously that's pre-1900, so that's kind of crazy.
I don't remember that. I literally saw this on X only today, to be honest, when I was preparing for the show. Am I following this guy, UFO Mania? So yeah, it's very interesting. Of course, with everything on X, once you read it, I also then check it to see it's not a load of bullshit, because a lot of the time it is bullshit. But even if it's even if it's bullshit you agree with, if it's bullshit, it's bullshit. You can't agree with bullshit just because it suits your politics or agenda. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So, I've always been one of these guys to sort of say, okay, even if this is what we want to hear, even if it's not true, it's still fucking no good to us. We don't want it. If it's not true, even if it's what we want, no good. So this is Euphomania. This was today. World's first recorded case of immediate contact. Case of Colonel Henry Glenville Shaw. November 1896. Colonel Shaw and his friend Camille Spooner were maybe named in honor of Truth Spooner. Yeah? Spooner were traveling in a late afternoon carriage on their way to Stockton. During the ride, their horse suddenly got scared and stopped, refusing to move forward. Shortly after, the two men would have seen three tall, extremely thin figures nearby on the road, right? According to the report, the entities had a humanoid appearance with slender bodies, small and delicate hands, and a kind of panugum covering their skin. I don't know what panugum is, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I was actually just looking it up there because I didn't know it either. It says panugum refers to the fine, short, and unpigmented hair that covers most of the human body.
That fine sort of feathery hair, that's called panugum.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Generally less than 2 millimeters long.
Hair on the neck of your nape of the neck of your girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
You're like stroking. Yeah, that's panugum. Now I know that. Now I really feel empowered with knowledge of the ages now. Panugum.
This is it. We learn some. We learn things. Do you know what I mean? Live on this show.
Yeah. The learning is happening before our audience very eyes right here. Eyes were big, while mouth and ears were small. Witnesses described their appearance as strangely beautiful and unusual. Each of the figures carried a bag-like object with a tube or mouthpiece which carried to their mouths as if they were breathing. They also had glowing egg lights. Beings seemed to communicate with each other through sounds described as kind of monotonous, vibrating, singing. So the vehicle took off, disappeared into the sky. So that's all right. That's that. But I looked into it in more detail. There's actually quite a better. Let's see if this shares this now. Has that changed? Yeah, it has changed. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm just going to close the X. First recorded case of immediate contact, close encounters of a third kind. Oh, yeah, so I wonder what second is then. I don't know what second kind is.
Yeah, let's have a check. Let's have a little check what close. Because I thought the third kind, like you say, is
going on board a ship.
Going on board, yeah.
Also, yeah.
Of second kind. Refers to specific. Oh, come on. Oh, it's a sighting.
But then what's the first kind?
Yeah, exactly. Hang on. First kind, visually sighting. That doesn't really. Okay, so what it says here is a close encounter of the first kind refers to visually sighting a UFO at close range. Isn't that what the second kind just said? Hang on. This thing's
contact. I think is the contact the element, but I don't know. Yeah.
So, okay, this is actually something called the Hynek scale, which categorizes all of these. So, first kind, sighting of an unidentified flying object in the sky. Second kind, a UFO event that leaves behind physical or measurable evidence.
Right.
Third kind, direct observation of an animated creature. Fourth and fifth kind, later expansions to the scale categorizing alien abductions.
That's
and
late. That's
communication.
updated because the movie came out. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That I think I meant actually contact with the aliens, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what's interesting is when you look at you get a bit more information about this. You notice some very interesting things. So the incident occurred on the evening of November 25th, 1896, during the height of what was called the Mystery Airship Wave of 1896 to 1897.
Okay.
Mystery Airship Wave, a series of sightings of unidentified ships across the US. I have never heard of this before. I had no idea, I didn't know about this. I thought it started in 1947 and all that with Roswell. It all started after the war. So this is interesting. Mystery Airship Wave, right? Story was published, Stockton Evening Mail. 3 strange visitors who possibly came from the planet Mars. So the beings were said to be 7 feet tall, covered in panugum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Small, delicate hands with no nails, large, lustrous eyes. Right, so incredibly beautiful, not hideous. Singing, apparently, they was communicating with kind of warbling. Shaw speculated that they were Martians sent to capture an Earth inhabitant. Obviously, we know that isn't the case. They can't have been Martians because there's no life observable on Mars. So,
yeah.
However, due to their slight build and low weight, they lacked the strength. So they were not strong enough to abduct him.
Oh.
So they tried to abduct him.
So why would they? I mean, but wouldn't they know that if they were?
You think so? Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you were one of the panugum people, like, would you would know that you weren't going to be strong enough, surely, to lift the human? I don't know. That bit just didn't seem to sit right.
Yeah, it's weird. And this thing about airships,
and they wouldn't have the technology to take them instead, and they would have to physically carry them. Right. Okay. There's a little bit of
I mean, like if you're going to sort of if you're an alien civilization from Mars, with the ability to fly a spaceship from Mars to Earth, presumably you've done your research. Presumably you know what you're doing.
You'd have to work. You would have to assume so. Yeah, that's why some of these stories they kind of like. Yeah, they don't make much sense from a perspective of it being an extraterrestrial being, which is where the speculation comes in. So, I'm not sure what to think about that story.
I've got to agree with you. That's sort of the things like that make me wonder about it. It seems a bit inconsistent. It's a bit of a sort of amateur hour at the UFO. The aliens are a bit don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. It's interesting though that there was an actual sort of wave of mystery airship sightings though.
That's right. That is interesting. It's weird, isn't it? The airship flap, it was called at the time. The flap. They were all in a flap about it, right?
Yeah, but also this could be just the embryos, the seminal times of governments experimenting with these things. I know, of course, we're going back to 1896, so we are going back quite a long time, but you don't know necessarily what technology would have been around because maybe you're not getting, they don't get told. Then I suppose, like it says down here, the Wright brothers flew in 1903.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's not correct. I don't know. It's a bit.
But they had dirigible airships though. That's been going since the 1850s. That kind of. Like, so look at the descriptions. That's the interesting thing is how they're described. So bright searchlights or colored lights, wings, propellers, or fan-like wheels. So that's pretty funny, isn't it? So like a UFO with propellers and fan-like wheels. That doesn't sound like the technology that we'd associate with UFOs advanced civilizations, propellers. But it would be the kind of technology that might be seen as futuristic in the 19th century before the end of the, before aircraft had even been developed.
Yeah.
You know? So these kind of proto-aircraft that they were. I mean, I'm not saying the Wright brothers didn't do what they did, but you know, you never know if there was some kind of underground, because the military always have the best technology anyway, right? So,
well, yeah, this is kind of what I was thinking. It just seems to have all the hallmarks of maybe a hidden human government military type technology rather than. But then, so what have they got? Just like three for that particular one? Have they just got three sort of young Swedish girls or something? Then, so I don't know, like, to pretend to be aliens. I don't.
Well, you mentioned that there is a case of young Swedish girls. Yeah, I can actually go into that in a minute afterwards. The Angelholm, another famous UFO close encounter. But look, some of the thing is with this, the accounts vary because some of them have accounts of crews of normal-looking men, often described as inventors or their assistants who spoke English. So kind of like the nutty professor or some kind of, eccentric old man with his young assistant speaking English. That doesn't seem very futuristic. It seems within the human scope of possibilities.
Yeah.
So a few wilder stories involve attempted abductions or such. There's a hoax with an alien body, which was discovered as a hoax. This occurred during a time of great excitement, people discussing human flight. But if you look at now, as I looked into, as to follow that up, I looked at the development of flight, and I found that airships were already being developed for some 40 years or so. I don't do this just to sort of spoil everyone's fun and say, oh, there's no aliens. No, I'm not saying there's no aliens. I'm just saying that just looking at what the descriptions are, and just trying to find the bullshit. I like finding bullshit. That's sort of seems to be what I enjoy.
Well, yeah, that's what we've always said that this show is about, isn't it? Trying to get to the shocking truth of things and not let people kind of get to inoculate people against the bullshit, basically.
Yeah. So look, this one 1850 is there's a sort of an air balloon Gifford airship.
The Gifford dirigible. Jesus.
Dirigible, yeah. 1872 airships. There's a rudder and propellers. Look at the anchor.
An anchor as well.
So hilarious, right? But yeah, I mean that. If you saw that and you'd never seen it before, you could assume it from Mars. The technology of the propeller. So I mean, they describe these UFOs as having propellers. Well, we know that a propeller is by our standards now old, almost obsolete technology. But by the standards of the 19th century, they're seeing these things for the first time. So yeah, I'm just putting it out there as a possibility, right? So
I actually didn't know airships were that early back. I mean, obviously, but it's not something I've really considered about it, I suppose. But yeah, I guess thinking about it, Zeppelins were going from around the early 1900s or so, weren't they? So very early 1900s. So yeah, okay. No, that seems to make a lot of sense. I think that has all the hallmarks of it being an unknown human military, whatever technology that is like an experimental technology, maybe. Just as a different form of flight kind of thing.
Yeah, so I also wanted to talk about the Angelholm. I'm just do you want to just fill for a bit while I'm just trying to get this thing together? Because I've written something, I need to get it together. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and the Zeppelins were proper dangerous as well. I think a lot of them crashed. But yeah, you can probably understand that. But yeah, so look, I think what we try to do here when we do these sort of things on the show is just try to get kind of to the heart of things and just try to weed through the chaff and the sort of BS that people want to misinterpret things on purpose to sort of scare you or just misinform you.
Yeah.
Oh, this is about
I think I've found it now. Yeah.
the pyramid, the pillars in the pyramid. Yeah.
Yeah. This is that, but I wanted to talk about something else. Because I've alluded to it. So I wanted to talk about
Swedish Air Force.
The Swedish thing. Yeah, the Swedish. This is from. It's from my latest book, which is called Operators Beyond the Veil, the Hidden Masters of Reality. This is from chapter 7. This fits in because you talked about Swedish aliens. So this is the closest thing we've got to Swedish aliens. So this is 1946, May 18th. A solitary hiker, Gosta Karlsson, was enjoying a peaceful night walk through the heavily wooded shore of Ängelholm, Sweden, in the Kronoskogen forest. So they climbed a hill and noticed bright lights streaking up from the forest floor. So I think I may even have gone over this before.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So he comes into this clearing of bright lights, and he descends into this strangely illuminated clearing found in the center, and there's a brightly lit object resembling what would later become known as the classic flying saucer, and shaped like a desk. Actually, this is a bit annoying because I can't read this properly. It's okay. I'll read it from. I've got it here in here. In fact,
I was just going to say we have a question in the chat, which I think.
Oh, brilliant! Fantastic. Go on then.
Do you know what it is though? It's because I've asked you this before. This is why I wanted to show it. So is that showing? Yeah. Okay. So you remember me asking this to you probably last year or something. It probably would have been last year on a show. And you.
So we've got a new person, Var Kalem, who's piped up, which is good. So yeah.
So why did cavemen paint balloons on a few of the charcoal scratchings?
Okay, well, you'll have to give me context. Do you know anything about this future shock? You need to let me know.
Well, I think this is a similar one to where I think I was saying many moons ago on many shows ago now about like people from, why would, if there wasn't some sort of like maybe a technology that was being seen by people way back when, like why would they be like doing these kind of almost tribute type drawings on the ground that could be seen from the air?
Yeah, no, we mentioned that. That's the Nazca lines in Peru, right? Have you heard of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that there's a theory that it was in a kind of an initiation that they actually created. They actually built balloons, hot air balloons, that they would take the initiate up onto the balloon in a sort of mystical, you can imagine like a mystical sort of journey into the atmosphere or whatever to see the gods. And maybe it was some kind of reckoning. Maybe it was some kind of those who were in the club. They knew what those lines represented. They knew they could draw the weird sort of octopus-shaped creatures. Only those who knew what the Nazca lines really looked like from the air were part of the secret club. Because there's always been these initiatory traditions. But yeah, one theory is that they only make sense from the air. But then why would aliens? Why would that be a UFO thing? What benefit would that have to humanity? Well, just to have it doesn't make sense logically that UFOs would generate these Nazca lines so they can look at badly drawn pictures of weird octopuses and stuff like that.
So I guess it's a little bit. It's not exactly the question that I asked you, was it? But it's kind of along the same lines. But I would say, so there were actual balloons around, like cavemen would be able to reference that. So because his question is, why did cavemen paint balloons on them? I'm not sure what it's.
Well, I don't know that I've necessarily seen that myself. Don't know. You'd have to find a picture for me. But it could be like many things, like we looked at last week. We looked at Renaissance art, where those images, those objects that were associated with religious iconography, the presence of God, the Annunciation, Virgin Mary, the descending of the Holy Dove. They're not UFOs. They're symbols of God or of some kind of angelic, light visitation. If you remember, and some people have deliberately misinterpreted those images to say that UFOs. I don't know what you're referring to, particularly about the balloons and the cavemen paintings. I by all means, I'm
if I
trying
can
to
find a
one.
picture, because
You know,
if Mark Halen can find a picture, because I'm just looking on Google Images myself, and I've put cavemen paint balloons on charcoal scratching. So basically, what Vakalen has put, I can't seem to find anything, to be honest.
yeah, I
So
can't. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, by all
if
means,
it was
put a
an image,
link in if you find Farcanon. You can put a link in. We can open the link and have a look. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we were in Sweden. We were dealing with these Swedish UFO thing, right? So this guy. Let's see, flying saucer. This description. Class. It's shaped like a disc, stood on the two. Now this is interesting. This is the description by Gosta Karlsson, 1946, of the UFO he saw in the middle of this forest in Sweden. So it's described as being shaped like a disc. It stood on two telescopic supports. In the lower part, there was a lowering hatch with a ladder, like on ships, at a height of about 1.5 meters. So what do you notice about that? It's like the airships described as having propellers and rudders. This is a UFO with a ladder. And a hat. So human, isn't it? It's human technology level. It's like ladders and hatches, you know. So yeah, I mean that kind of makes me think this isn't exactly high tech. Like, I'm not saying it's like a painter or a decorator ladder, or like a plasterer's or wooden ladder, but you know what I mean. It's like ladders and hatches. The views. So at the top of the object was an oval cabin about 8 meters in diameter with oval windows. While looking at the structure, I thought someone was trying to mess with me. And I thought maybe this facility was built by German pilots and they were trying to escape from the POW camp on it. Because nearby there's apparently, this was near a POW camp. There's been some reports that on the POW camp, they actually were working on UFO, on part of the Nazi post-war, the leftovers of the Nazi, well, of course, camp on those. Someone's dropped out, but they used sort of forced labor. The Nazis did. Yeah, it was still good. Top of the cockpit, there was something thick like a periscope, 4 meters high. It had a bright purple light source, caught my attention. The air smelled strongly of ozone. There were no joints or rivets. So ozone suggests it's ionized air. So it suggests electricity, some kind of electromagnetic principle being used there. There's no joints or rivets visible, which is often why one of the reports of, if you remember Benny and Barney Hill, no, what's it? Barney and what was the other one? What was the woman called? Anyway, their car was reportedly stalled. You know, often in these UFO encounters, the car stops working, it breaks down. That's because of the ionized air, because you can't start the spark plug won't generate a spark because the ionized air insulates the plug from the rest of the engine or something like that. It stops the engine working until the source of ionization is gone. So it's ionized means everything has become electric, so it means you're no longer isolating the electric spark, so it's like dissipates everything. So the engine will break down in the presence of ionized oxygen and that. So yeah, I'm saying, what conclusions do we, as the reader, reading this in 2026, get out of this description? You know,
I mean, for me, you know, it's just not compelling enough again, is it? But I suppose, for some sense of argument's sake, you know, a lot of these descriptions, sometimes, because obviously we haven't seen the thing, this person has allegedly seen the thing, and sometimes I guess we don't necessarily have the correct language to describe something that could be, you know, very advanced. So you could use ladders or hatches when you don't really know what else to say.
Possibly, it could well be the case that they couldn't describe it. It was ladder was the closest thing they could use to describe it. Yeah,
But
it
it's
could
still
well be, yeah.
At the same time, it's still very human sounding, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going to be in a spaceship and you're traveling from God knows where, then you're just not. I'm gonna be expecting, even though language may be difficult to describe it, I'm just going to expect to hear something different, and it all sounds very sort of science fiction movie.
So they actually meet. Gosta Carlson actually met the inhabitants of this saucer. And rather than them grabbing the opportunity to pull his trousers down and anally probe him, apparently they just didn't care. They were actually quite inconvenienced by this human presence, which is quite funny, isn't it? You know, apparently none of the so-called aliens, seemed eager to mess about with his bottom or probe him or anything like that. Instead, they behaved as you might do when someone comes around to your house when you're about to have your dinner, and you're too polite to send them away. So they kind of just put up with him. And,
I was literally about to say it's quite comical to think that we're describing aliens putting up with someone. The idea that they'd have to put up with, we can't really, we'll just tolerate him for half an hour or so.
So the description, Gosta Carlson, is this. This was what he said verbatim. He says, they all had blonde hair and looked like Swedish or Norwegians. So already these aliens look like Swedish or Norwegians with blonde hair. I saw 3 men near the windows of the ship. They were busy with some work inside. Then three girls appeared, like the Swedish girls you were mentioning, in front of me, all equally dressed in one-piece white suits with the same boots and belts. Each of them had a transparent hood pulled back around their neck. It was strange to see how they all looked at me as if I was an uninvited guest. I felt like a wild animal in a circle of light, a technique used by safari hunters in Africa. Then a dark-haired girl came down the stairs from the ship. She had a bag in her hand, and then she began to distribute cups to all the other men and women. They began to quit all work and began to drink from these cups. When I wanted to get closer to them, one of the men, who seemed to be acting as a guard, blocked my path, raised his hand as a stop sign. Everyone around me was looking at me with serious faces. Then I stepped back, and everyone went back to their work. No one was looking at me. I felt a little depressed. So this guy is sort of seeing this UFO spaceship. He's thinking, "Oh, this is amazing," and in fact, they don't care about him.
Didn't like him. It's like it's got to be quite disappointing, I suppose, isn't it? It's like, they just weren't very interested. I must have just been boring them or something and inconveniencing them. It's not. I don't know if you were trying to change the page, but it's not changed the page when you were reading that.
Oh, that's fine because I'll change the page. Yeah, that's fine. So I've got my own copy here. This is just a bit harder for me to read. It's just a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the bit I read there. So.
Well, it describes. They do talk about like different alien types, don't they? And one of them is always said to be Nordic. A Nordic.
That's right. Yeah, literally Nordic is in there from Sweden. That's the thing.
But they're usually sort of super tall. I can't remember what you said about the height now, but I don't think. They were not described as usually they're, although it says it down here, Nordic aliens have become part of the. So they're usually supposed to be from the Pleiades, that place I can never pronounce. But they're supposed to be very, very tall. So I don't think that's what this story is saying.
Yeah, so that's peculiar. So that makes you wonder. I mean, these don't look like aliens. They look like Nordics, blonde ones, ladders and hatches and things like that. So it's all very human. So there's nothing, and especially if you put the context with Sweden, not for I believe there was a Swedish Air Force base nearby. So if you put the context that perhaps it was some kind of post-war, there was the Swedish Air Force base was really nearby. They could have been flying something, testing something out the German Air Force base, out the Swedish Air Force base, captured from the Nazis. It crashed in the forest, and they're trying to fix it. Meanwhile, this backpacker who turns up and is like, "Oh, fucking hell, that's the last thing we need." They're just trying to, they can't really do anything to him, but they just make it clear that he's not welcome there. And eventually he just slinked off probably, but yeah. But you can imagine that the outfits, the white one-piece costumes that make them look futuristic, really part of the appearance of them being alien. That in the event that they're discovered,
It sounds like ABBA band members, though.
yeah. So yeah,
No,
that's what I've got.
What I'll do for next week is, in terms of these kind of stories, is the one that I alluded to earlier on from Brazil, which I think is quite interesting. I couldn't quite remember it fully off the top of my head, so I need to get into it a bit more, get a proper link and everything for the screen. But it's quite interesting. Like I said, when they went back in later and sort of did an investigation, all the different stories people would tell about it. And this is in a very small place. I think it's called Minas Gomes, something like this. And it's in a very close-knit place, and you had a lot of different people telling the same story, and a lot of people who were dying who'd been involved in it from young ages, from like radiation and other kind of like sicknesses that they developed apparently very soon after encountering it. So the being that was taken to hospital. So yeah, it's quite curious. I'll sort that one out for next week.
Yeah, so that, as I say, that's from my latest book, and there's a link my website, truthspoon.com.
Yeah, make sure you go buy the book.
Can buy my book there and stuff. So yeah, I mean that radiation thing. There are incidences of encounters involving people being receiving what appears to be radiation burns. That's something that's mentioned in my book. I do go over those cases. Thing is, my book is what it's about. It ties everything together. It ties the UFO cults, they speak demonic possession, schizophrenia, and it ties it all up with an ongoing global agenda and who's controlling that agenda. So it starts in the modern day with the UFO thing, and it goes all the way back in time to where it all started. That's what my book is the intention is. So, yeah, I mean, we could finish off with this thing about the structures that underneath the Khafre pyramid, yeah?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah, because I'm flagging a little bit by now.
Yeah, we've done 2 hours. We've done a stint. We've done a shift. We've put a shift in, haven't we? So can't say further than that, So here we go. So this is it. And I like to cover all the topics that I've got in mind, or at least that I've put on the thumbnail. And then once I've covered everything, I'm like, right, good. We can just go about our business now. Yeah. So you heard of this, haven't you? So where did you hear about this?
I think I first introduced you to it.
Yeah,
when it first came out on the show. And I heard about it on a Joe Rogan podcast, possibly with this guy actually as well, Project Unity. I think it was him who was talking about it. And yeah, he showed that first image, the very sort of crude, what do they call it? LiDAR? Is it LiDAR?
Yeah.
LiDAR image. And yeah, I mean, it's to some degree compelling. I mean, it doesn't really show as much, and there's obviously so much speculation about it. But did you want to play the video? Or?
Yes. So the idea, I'll play the video and I'll just give myself a breather as well. Yeah, here we go. Here we are. What's going on? Oh, I'm pressing the play button. Never mind. Here we go. I'll go this time.
Struggling to express in words just how significant of a discovery.
Oh, that's Project Unity. That's what you're referring to, yeah?
Yeah, this is the guy who I believe first made this sort of famous by going on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Interesting. It's not LiDAR exactly. It's some of the... I'll check out. I've got some notes on the technology.
This is... What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring and narrative shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who was studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography. So this was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high resolution, full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep, deep down. This is what we know so far. Utilizing high-resolution radar images from Capella Space and Umbra, which are 2 private companies that specialize in satellite-based synthetic aperture radar imaging. This has allowed researchers to create a 3D model of the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown...
So, are you still there, Future Shock?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking as it was playing about this tomography. Is it truly accurate? Is it a new technology? Is it really kind of solid? Is it, reliable? I don't know anything about.
It's a form of radar, SAR Doppler tomography. It's an advanced radar technique. So how it works, it's sensing method using satellites. They send microwave radar pulses and record the echoes. So it's not LiDAR because it's not light, but it's EM waves, microwaves. As the satellite moves, it creates a long synthetic antenna producing high-resolution 2D images. So I think we've finished with that video now. We've got the idea of what they claim is there. These objects that look like beehives, I believe they're the weight relieving chamber above the chambers in the pyramids. And that's what they look like. They look like the weight relieving, to relieve the weight from the various chambers in the pyramid, the Queen's Chamber, the King's Chamber. They have these structures above the chamber to relieve the weight of the stones above. Do you see what I mean? It spreads out the load. Yeah. So I've got some notes on this. I'm just gonna switch over.
So then it is pretty reliable then. I mean, is there not a plan? So is there a plan to do a dig of some kind?
Well,
or even can they actually do that? I guess there's regulation, a lot of regulation around the area, obviously.
Yeah, well, you got how it's basically run by the whole Egypt is run by the military, and they're very conservative. Zawi Hawass is sort of
that's it.
It's like a guard dog controlling it. He's a half-witted idiot, but they're sort of reluctant to give any credence to anything that's kind of outlandish or anything like Graham Hancock famously in the turn of the century. The year 2000, they wanted to put a big show when they opened up this sort of secret room in the pyramids, and they were trumpeting the return of the gods of Egypt to Earth. And the Egyptian authorities they blocked this big spectacle. It was going to have Jean-Michel Jarre there, New Year's Eve 1999. It was going to be a big ceremony at the pyramid, almost like a ritual. But the Egyptian authorities they banned it on the grounds that it was a Jewish conspiracy. That's what they actually said. They said it was a Zionist conspiracy, which they may well be right. In fact, that's what my research sort of suggests. There's a lot of that kind of involvement in this area. That's just what my research says. And if you read my book, the fuck is it called now? The Operators Beyond the Veil. You'll see the evidence for what this conspiracy is and why, how, and who's behind it all. But
so, what's his? Say that guy's name again. So Barrett, what was his name? The Egyptian hardlines.
Zawi Hawass.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, anything new like this is going to make him very off-brand. Is going to have kind of like sort of highly reputational effects. So there's always going to be pushback against it, which is disappointing because, you know, if you're a scientist or even just a curious human, you want to discover, you know, you want to discover.
Well, they're within the context of Islam, aren't they, as well? So, you know, they don't want anything that upsets their sort of theology, you know?
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't think Islam really believes in aliens. I don't think they exist. Islam and aliens don't really get on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a guy I think who tried to convince me. So I was just walking down the street near to me to the local shop. This is probably when I first moved into this area, maybe even it's quite a long time ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I think I said to him somewhat flippantly, because, you know, anybody like this, I'm not going to even usually engage with. But for some reason, like very briefly, he really sort of came at me though. So it was a bit difficult to not engage with, at least for a second or two. But as I basically said to him, "Oh, you show me a Muslim alien, and maybe I'll believe." And he was like, "Well, if you look here in this part of the, you know, the holy works," and he was trying to say to me that there are parts of the Quran where it mentions like aliens on other planets and stuff like this. I don't know how true that was, whether it was just a ruse to try and draw me in. Obviously, it failed.
Yeah, so you can see then that there's an artist's rendering of what this supposedly looks like, yeah?
Yeah.
He's sort of like, I mean, I tell you what, I mean, the Northern Line, Covent Garden, you know, that's I've taken the stairs once when the lift was out of order, and that's the Northern Line is like the deepest line on the underground. There's like Hampstead, you know, Hampstead, I think is the deepest one as well. So that 2 kilometers spiral staircase, who's going to do a 2 kilometer spiral staircase to this so-called underground? Again, it doesn't make any logical sense.
Oh, is that what they're supposed to be? I didn't even know that.
Well, it's suggestive of that, isn't it? It's suggestive of a spiral staircase, right?
Yeah. Are you talking about the stairs? Did you say Covent Garden?
The Northern Line is like, yeah, if you've ever been on the tube you've ever been on the Northern Line when the lift is out of order or something, and there's the odd occasional time where you actually have to walk the spiral staircase. And I think Covent Garden's I think that's pretty deep, that one. I'm not sure. Let me just. But I know that. Yeah, particularly that is a steep staircase. But I'm saying that the suggestion is, if you look at the tomographical radar, it suggests something that's like a staircase. And because, you know, humans, we recognize familiar shapes and we like to sort of put them into context. So clearly the suggestion here is that this is some kind of spiral staircase going down to this sort of underground city. Sheer bullshit, I would suggest, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, listen, I've got some more of this. I'm just going to try and I'm having a bit of bother fiddling with this because I've not done this before. There we go. Next page, right? So yeah, they appeared on podcast Joe Rogan discussing the data beyond Ian Malanga's SAR work. Yeah, so the SAR Doppler tomography uses kind of from satellites that kind of use microwaves to detect sort of seismic information underground. But what I want to get into is some of the sort of possible criticisms of it. You know, that it may be showing sort of more, it may be more wishful thinking, that they're actually seeing something that really isn't there, you know. Yeah, they argue the cylindrical anomalies, spirals, and chambers are man-made, part of some lost halls. Sorry, go ahead, Future Shot, go on.
That's kind of why I asked the question sort of at the start of the little piece here about it, regarding how valid is the actual the tomography, or how reliable is the tomography that it's actually showing you some solid structures. Like I just asked the question because I didn't know anything about it.
Well, this page covers that because it says here, the noise and interpretation raw tomograms are noisy heat maps. So apparently what you're seeing is a heat map Anomalies can arise from processing errors, false alarms. The team themselves noted some in their 2022 paper. Surface features bleeding into the data, or, as I mentioned, but I didn't know the name for it, pareidolia, seeing patterns because you want to see a pattern, because you want to make something unfamiliar appear familiar. So something that looks like something suggestive of a spiral, you might think that's some kind of spiral. So it doesn't make sense to me, but yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, that was sort of one of my thoughts, like I was saying. I just sort of wanted to question it, because I was like, do they definitely know that they're looking at something solid? I mean, obviously the guy who discovered it, he has, like Zahi Hawass has, in a separate way, in an opposite way, he's got his brand to push. So you always got to be a little bit careful with these things.
So, however, the consensus among radar specialists, and the thing is, I'm aware that deferring to authority is a fallacy, and I don't defer to authority. But all the same, in a case like this, you need to know what the consensus is, even if you just to question it. But in this case, the Egyptologists and geologists say the anomalies are almost certainly natural karst features or imaging artifacts rather than 1 kilometer deep engineered cities. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, anyway, below the water table in Giza Plateau is very high. It's quite high because of the Nile. So I mean, recently there was a tomb opened up. I think you can visit it for about £1,000. It's like really expensive. Can't remember. Do you call it the Osiris Shaft? Yeah, they called it. They're calling it the Osiris Shaft. That's the latest thing, and it's like a sort of like 30 meter deep in total, 20 meters deep or so, quite very deep. But it's in 3 stages, and at the bottom, 20 meters down or so, you've got groundwater. And the idea is it was actually possibly I think it was described in Herodotus that on the Giza Plateau there was an underground tomb an island tomb surrounded by a watery moat, and this is what is at the bottom of the Osiris Shaft. Is a tomb with an island surrounded by water, the water table. So if you've got a water table at 20 meters down, what hope could there be of anything being a kilometer down? You're going to be deep underwater. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
it just doesn't make
any. Yeah. Well, see, I actually was in Egypt just before last December with my mate. We actually went to Egypt. So I used to live there, but we went on holiday. But yeah, I mean, if you visit the Assyrian, there is presence of water if you go relatively just a few meters down. There's water everywhere underneath the plateau, So yeah, that's what I think. I've covered it all now. So what do you think?
Yeah, because it's funny you sort of managed to cover it like that as well, because I was always kind of skeptical about it, but I didn't quite have the sort of knowledge of the technology or the science of the area. So I feel like that's kind of like I'm just quite skeptical about the whole thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what makes me laugh though is Joe Rogan and how he takes everything on he takes it all at face value, doesn't he? I mean, I'm not having a go at Joe. Yeah, he's excitable. Yeah. He wants to believe, man. I want to believe.
He is the molder. He's definitely the molder.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So listen, I'm gonna have to bounce soon. So
no, that's fine, bro. We're ending the show now. We've done 2 in nearly half an hour, so pretty cool. We've done a good shift, old boy, right? Would you reckon?
Yeah, I was quite surprised I could. I'm still, like I say, in recovery mode from my birthday, so it's just like, oh man, just doing anything at the moment is just hard.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for being here as ever, Future Shock, every week. Thank you for your presence.
We should be back next week, of course.
Thank you to our audience for being there, and thank you as well for the comments in the chat, which I love that. And it's great. Even
we're starting to get a bit more. If you notice, we're starting to get a few more people come in. So yeah, it should build.
Nice one, yeah. So I haven't thought about what we'll do next week. You've got some ideas. Yeah. We'll talk about the radioactive alien thing, that the radiation burns. You look into that. I've got some info on that. So we'll continue the usual trawling of the interwebs for alien data. And hey, if we find any proof of aliens, we'll definitely report it. There's no bias. It's just I want to know what's going on. That's the point, really.
But it is kind of like when you're dealing with stuff like this. So it's not that I'm a massive skeptic per se, but I'm also not someone who wants to deal with bullshit and not someone who wants to deal with lies. You want to get to the heart of things. You want to get to the bottom of things. And if something turns out to be factually incorrect that I thought before, then I'm absolutely fine with that. But it's getting to the meat and drink of things. But yeah, cool, man.
Nice one.
Speak to you.
Yeah, as ever, and I hope your recovery goes well. And all the best. And see you virtually this time next week, and see our audience this time next week as well. And yeah,
ciao, everyone.
Cheerio, guys, and we'll play out with the usual theme tune. Cheerio, everyone. Keep tumbling.